Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing great. I welcome you all to Finance Burrito, a weekly podcast session presented to you all by Finance and Investment Cell of Shahid Bhagat Singh Evening College. I am Raghav Garg, member of Finance and Investment Cell, host for today's podcast session. This week we have Mr. Shantanu Jain, the co-founder of Redon. He is a CA with work experience in Unacademy and Swiggy. He was part of audit and assurance team at GT Kolkata with audit experience in multiple industries like e-commerce, IML, manufacturing, manpower recruitment, and many more. Welcome you, sir, and we are honored to have you.
Thanks, Raghav, for this opportunity. Super excited to talk to you.
So now, sir, we will be beginning with the questionnaire. Let's say I have a startup idea. I believe that I can capture a good market share, but don't know how to arrange funds. What are the various ways a startup can raise funds?
All right. So basically, raising funds is a function of the first thing is that whether your startup is investable or not, right? Whether it is a startup or is it a traditional business? Is it something that would not require you going tech first, but you can have technology as a distribution product, right? Say you want to set up some manufacturing unit that creates a very different kind of a machine that solves a problem that's very innovative also, but that strictly won't be startup, right? That will be a very traditional kind of a business. So the first step is to identify whether you have a startup or is it a traditional business. If you have a startup, whether it is a fundable startup, right? Once you figure out that, okay, this is a manufacturing concern where maybe I can take loans, or maybe I'll have to go to some private equity player or something like that to set it up. That's a very different kind of a ball game. Let's stick to the startup world. Now, if you want to raise capital in a startup for your startup, and there are different stages in which you can raise capital, or you can raise that capital at one go. It depends on what kind of an industry you're in, what are the dimensions of that industry in which you are. So you have seed stage, you have angel investors. First of all, the people who will back you will be your very close friends and family, and maybe some colleagues and all that you worked with previously. So those will be your initial set of investors. That is the angel investor, right? This is when people are putting money in you. They're putting their trust and faith in you as a founder, as a person, as a person who can create an organization, you or your team.
Yes.
Right? Now, then comes the pre-seed or the seed stage, where you have some bit of traction to show for. You have at least one paying customer or something like that, or enough traction. If it is not a customer, you're not going to charge a customer. You're going to earn through advertisements and all. So you have different metrics that you track for that. If you have reached a certain level, certain maturity, and now you want to do deep development of your product, right? You go to the seed stage of funds. You raise a seed fund where then you pay your engineers, pay your core initial team, and they build the product, the application, which then you can launch into the market. After the seed stage comes series A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, can go as high as any letter in the alphabet. And this is the staging way of raising money, where you raise money in stages, right? Initially, in the first couple of stages, usually all of these startups are valued very, very similarly. Like there is Y Combinator that does a lot of, so it's an accelerator that gives seed fund as well. There is Sequoia Surge that does that. So Sequoia Surge will give you $1 to $2 million and take 20% of stake. Y Combinator will take 7% of your stake and will give you $125,000, right? $125K. So these are different companies giving you money in very, very different contexts, different ways. At the seed stage itself, sometimes you even don't need to have a product, to be very honest. Even if you have an idea and you pitch it where you've thought through it deeply and it's a very, very promising idea and you have a big vision, you can go to some accelerator and they'll fund that idea itself. You don't even need to have paying customers for that, right? So it depends on how you want to structure it. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, sir, now that I know that I can start my business with other people's money, but still have some confusion. What should I prefer?
Mhm.
Like emptying my pockets, taking loan on my personal property, and using my own funds, or approach angel investor to finance my startup. So, what is the most appropriate choice for me?
Got it. Very good question. Here, I would want to draw the difference between an entrepreneur and an investor. An entrepreneur is crazy about that problem. He or she may not have the funds to see that idea through till the end, right? They may not have crores and crores of rupees to realize that vision, the big vision that they have. So the entrepreneur's job is to keep working on the problem, figure out 10 different solutions, experiment with them, find out which one works best, be obsessed about their customers, keep taking that feedback from them, reduce the feedback loop as much as possible. All of these things is what an entrepreneur does. An investor puts in money to get back money, right? They'll invest money in a company or in a startup and they would want some returns out of it, correct? I think if you are a person who can think like an investor, who can be an investor and maybe can take that call that, okay, now that my startup is not working, maybe I should pull that money back out of here and then put in the next project. If you are somebody with that mindset, with an investor mindset, right, and you have a big backup of or large pool of capital with you, then it makes sense to go on your own. Absolutely. Why will you give out any percentage of your stake to anybody and not keep the wealth creation process to yourself? It also depends on your business model a lot. A lot of businesses can only make sense at a particular scale. So, for example, a Swiggy or a Zomato cannot work at a very, very small scale with bootstrapped funds. It will be a very small margin kind of a business. Their margin, even when they become profitable, would be 1 to 2%, which is very small, right? So these companies need an economy of scale, and to reach there, they need thousands of crores of rupees. If you have that, well and good. Otherwise, you can use somebody else's money to grow and grow fast, right? On the other hand, you have companies like Zerodha. These companies can generate cash flows upfront. These monies will have cash flowing into their company very, very quickly upfront. They don't need to be funded or have a hyper funding kind of a situation, right? And grow that way. They can afford to grow a bit slower and a bit steadily. And today we see that they are the best example of a bootstrapped startup, right? Then you have Zoho. Zoho was also a software as a service, very small tech team, right? Very small business development team. And they went out and captured so much market and then generated recurring cash flows. That was stable also, right? So both these examples tell you that, okay, if you have a cash flow rich business with steady cash flows coming in regularly and can be scaled through technology, you don't need funds. But if you have a business model that will make sense when it achieves an economy of scale, then you will probably need funds upfront. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, sir, I have heard IPO is a good option for a company with a good public reputation. So, what is the right time a company should apply for an IPO? Because it comes with SEBI set, making it a complicated process. So, what is the optimum time?
See, there is no optimal time, to be very honest, about an IPO, and a company does not sit and decide, or an entrepreneur does not sit and decide when the IPO is going to come. They have, so if you look at these companies that are coming out with their IPOs and all, also Zomato, Paytm, etc., these folks don't have more than 10% of the company, right? As entrepreneurs, they have 6%, 5%, maybe Paytm may, Vijay Shekhar Sharma has 16% or 17%, I don't remember, but less than 20%, right? Majority of the decision is taken by the board of directors, right? And when the board of directors finds that the company, that the market conditions are absolutely appropriate for this company to go public and they can get maximum return on the investments that they've made, right?
Yes, sir.
That is the time they will go for an IPO, right? So whenever a market is in boom, whenever you're seeing a lot of traction happening, seeing good numbers, right? A bit of stability and predictability of revenue coming into the company, that is when investors would want to say that, okay, we've had this company reach this scale. Now let's dilute, let's invest in other companies, right? Because they might have that opportunity of growing 100x. Maybe this company will not grow 100x anymore. Let me pull out 80% of the capital that I put in. Let me make those profits. Let me invest that into other companies which may give me 100x returns, and then let me just milk this cow as much as I can with the remaining 20% or whatever may be their criteria, right? So that is how the IPO engine works. You will not see a lot of IPOs coming in the beer market. In a beer market, usually a beer market is not so great for IPOs. People have a lot of time to look into your financials, etc. When you have so many IPOs coming in, nobody has that kind of a time to evaluate every IPO. So, yep, I think I
Yes,
hope
sir.
I answered the question
Yes, yes,
correctly.
yes, yes, sir. Uh, so, sir, how do I determine like my startup cost or and the other expenses?
Initial setup cost.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it absolutely depends on the industry that you go after, right? That will absolutely depend on that. It is always best to be ultra frugal, right? Avoid as many ancillary expenses or the uh, uh, side expenses that you can have, right? Say for example, rental cost, food cost, all of these are also costs that you'll have to incur if you are not at your home location. Maybe if you're in Bangalore, shifting to Bangalore and working there. So try to minimize this as much as possible. Try to put money into either technology, if it is a tech first kind of a company, or maybe branding, or find out those pockets where you can invest that money, put that money, and get an incremental ROI out of it, get an incremental return out of it. In terms of how much, what is the minimum that you can start a company with? We don't start it with $0. We did not put in any money upfront, and we were able to achieve revenue positive by just putting in $15,000, whatever website and all we put up, right? But if you look at the imputed cost, my salary, my co-founder salary, and all of those things which we are not drawing, that could be a bit higher. But then obviously initially you will not be making any money from that startup, right? So we don't consider all of those costs as costs. But yeah, it's I think money is only a part of the problem when you start out, right?
Yes.
If you have a product that is scalable, and if you have identified a real problem for a consumer, there are more than enough investors in the market to back you. Maybe the process will take 2 months. I'm not saying the process will be fast. Maybe the process will take 2 to 3 months, but there is no dearth of money for great ideas. Let me put that out very, very clearly, right? People will offer you money. I'm not kidding. If you have a great product, great brand, सामने से आके people will tell you that, hey, take my money, build it up, try to create a big thing out of it. So the market right now in India is absolutely favorable for crazy techies or crazy entrepreneurs to come in and just disrupt things, just try to change the status quo. And I think that will be very interesting for kids like you, for college students like you. The next 5 to 7 years is going to be absolutely amazing. Either you'll be working at a startup, or your organization would want to convert into a tech first company, be it an HUL, Marico, Britannia of the world. Everybody wants to be a tech first company now, or you'll have something of your own, right? So brilliant, beautiful future out there for you guys.
Yes, sir. And sir, so like if a person is not willing to give up on equity in his company, so like what options did he is left with if he wants to finance his startup, but
Got it.
doesn't want, yes, doesn't want to give up on the equity?
I got it. I understood. So there are a lot of different forms of financing that have come up now, right? If you have some bit of stability of revenue, right, you can go for revenue financing also, where the company that will give you or back you will take a percentage out of your revenue for a certain period of time. No questions asked, they'll give you money and they'll say, give me 5% of your revenue for the next 3 years. royalty kind of an arrangement is what we
Yes,
call
sir.
it, right? So we call it revenue financing now. So that is a very interesting form of financing for people who don't want to dilute stake upfront, right? I personally think this will be something that comes after you start making revenues, obviously, and
Yes,
after and the person investing will see, okay, if I invest say $100,000 in this company, can this company get me a 5x revenue out of it? Got it?
yes,
100K
sir.
diya, so can you generate 500K revenue? And they'll take 5% of that. So that's how they are doing the math.
Yes,
Got it? There is another form which is venture debt. What do these venture capitalists do? They don't take any equity out of your company, but they create a venture debt kind of a product. Now, what is a venture debt product? It's just like a normal debt product. You don't have to pay out interest on that upfront. It gets accumulated over say 2 to 3 years, and then you pay off when you reach a certain sustainability or stability. To be very honest, this is one of these are not used a lot in the real world. Very few startups go for arrangements like this. One of the good examples has been, I think, Oyo just raised some venture debt, but they have reached that revenue stability, and I don't think anybody would be investing equity into them anymore. um, but yes, usually I see companies that have already diluted some bit of equity, raised some bit of money, going for these add-on products like venture debt or maybe even revenue financing.
uh, thank you, sir, for answering all of our questions and giving us such a wonderful knowledge.
Thanks a lot. You can also, anybody who is watching this can reach out to me absolutely.
Yes,
I absolutely love working with young entrepreneurs like yourself, and you're just curious about knowing more about this
yes,
industry
sir.
and what we think, how does it look, inside kaisa hota hai kaam. So absolutely.